everyone, David Aragona and Mike Beer here taking an early look at the top 10 contenders for the Juvenile Fillies turf out at the Breeders' Cup. And speaking of the Breeders' Cup, which is right around the corner, you want to check out the DRF handicapping plans that we've got offered at shop.drf.com. You can save $38 of the value of everything included in both the players package and the VIP package, which of course include the full card PPs for the Friday and Saturday. Also early PPs that will come out with the pre-entries next week if you want to get a head start on your handicapping. And in that VIP package, we've also got the clock reports, an invaluable resource to assessing these Breeders' Cup runners based on the observations by Mike Welsh and his team, which will be out at the Breeders' Cup, making notes on all of these runners, pointing towards the full card of races on Friday and Saturday out at Del Mar. So check out more information about our Breeders' Cup packages at shop.drf.com or by using that QR code on screen. Let's throw up the first page of the top 10 contenders for this Juvenile Fillies turf. And Mike, this is one where the field as it stands right now is not looking quite as strong as some of the other turf races that for the 2-year-olds on this Breeders' Cup Friday card. We don't know of a whole lot of confirmed international participation at the moment. So the top 4 horses on this list are all based in the U.S. and they do have some talent, but we typically expect some top runners from the Aidan O'Brien or Charlie Appleby stable to come over for this race. And we haven't necessarily heard about that yet. So I'll be interested to see how this field ultimately comes together.
And that's what I'm waiting for too. I just want to see if anybody from one of those bigger stables from Europe decides to come over, because listen, if they do, I guess you sort of expect them to be really tough. But as things stand right now, there are a bunch of these 2-year-old fillies that are stabled over here that I really like, that I think have a chance to be pretty good.
And topping the list, at least at this point in time, is Time to Dream, who is coming off a loss in her most recent start. That was the Jessamine. But let's take a look at the replay of that race, Mike, because I want to get your take on the trip she got, because I've seen opinions running the gamut from, well, she got a perfect trip and was disappointed because the favorite with no excuse, to she got a terrible trip and would have won this race for fun. I don't know where you stand on that, but clearly you could see she's a little bit locked in behind some horses in mid-stretch here. But there's no denying that in her 2 races prior to this at Saratoga, she looked like a legitimate favorite for a race like the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf.
I agree with you. Yeah, I don't think I would classify this trip as terrible, but it was far from perfect. And she was, in my opinion, certainly compromised in that race. Just having to sort of try to force her way out. And it's not like it happened immediately, David. I mean, it took her a while to sort of push that horse aside so she could get clear to run. And then once she got clear, she was gaining at the end and was probably going to win that race with a clean trip.
Yeah, Imagination the Lady. She'll be on the second page of past performances that we'll get to in just a little bit for this Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf. But let's talk about another one of the prep winners that won on the East Coast. That was the winner of the Miss Grillo ground support. And we'll take a look at the replay of her getting the job done. And Mike, this is a filly who has not gotten a whole lot of respect from the bettors in each of her career starts. Went off at a whopping 100-1 when she won on debut at Kentucky Downs. And the bettors still didn't afford her much respect in this Miss Grillo. She paid, I think, $26 to win on this day too, and this result just never really looked in doubt. She went right to the front end, actually pulled her jockey there, and really never gave them a chance. I don't know if she's going to be able to go gate to wire in a race like the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf, but she's clearly better than people originally thought.
If nothing else, it's time to stop underestimating her for sure. And you're right. I mean, your point's well taken about, at least as far as the trip goes, because when you watch her debut at Kentucky Downs, and I know that she was totally overlooked there, but she sat a perfect trip, very comfortable in behind horses in that race. So if she doesn't make the lead, to me, that's not an issue. The race that we just watched, the Miss Grillo, her rider didn't want her on the lead in that race. As a matter of fact, I think he was looking to get the same trip he got in debut, but nobody else was going. So he just wound up saying, it's typical New York turf racing. All right, if you guys aren't going to go, then I guess I'll just go. And he made an easy lead in there, and he made him pay.
I'm intrigued to see, Mike, how the bettors for this Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf assess the horse that I've got ranked second on this list, Ultimate Love, who I did peg at 6-1 on my early odds line based on how this field is coming together right now. We'll see if some potential European players that are late additions to this race increase the prices on some of these U.S.-based runners. But Ultimate Love, she sort of bypassed the traditional route to this race, not running in any of the graded stakes preps at places like Keeneland or Aqueduct or out in California. She's been based in the Mid-Atlantic region, is coming off a win in the Salima at Laurel. We'll take a look at the replay of that race, and she clearly is not facing the level of competition that she'll encounter when she goes out west for the Breeders' Cup. But boy, has she looked good in all 3 of her victories.
Yeah, I feel the same way about her. I mean, who knows what kind of competition is really behind her here, and maybe things will just get way too tough for her. But just based on the visuals, she can really run. And this race here, she's just getting warmed up at the end of this race and is just running away from these horses. Her pedigree, I can't say, David, that I'm someone who loves the Curlins on the grass, but there's a ton of distance and there's a ton of class in this female family. It's actually a huge pedigree on the bottom. I don't know, man. I think this filly's super dangerous. It's the kind of horse I kind of hope does get overlooked at the Breeders' Cup just because she hasn't run in any big races.
Yeah, as you can see from this list, she's got a couple of 80-plus buyers, which would make her a contender in this race. And another horse who's got an 80-plus buyer, and actually I think the fastest horse on the buyer scale on the way into this race is the horse that I've got ranked third on this list, Final Accord. Another horse who's not taken a traditional route to get this Juvenile Fillies turf. She's never gone 2 turns before, but I really liked the turn of foot that she displayed in this Matron Stakes victory that we'll take a look at last time out. Another horse who's undefeated. She is 2 for 2 in her career, and watching her run, Mike, I kind of understand why Mark Casse might want to target this race instead of the 5-furlong Juvenile Turf Sprint, because it does feel like she should be able to go longer.
Yeah, 100% she should be. I mean, they sprinted her twice. They're 2 really impressive wins. This one's way more impressive than maybe the final margin might suggest here. This is a huge finish from her to just run this field over, and she did it under strong handling. And as far as the distance is concerned, I mean, she's a war of will. This is a Phipps female family. There's tons of distance on the bottom of this pedigree to suggest that she'll go a lot longer.
And as of now, we don't have too many top runners from the barns that we expect to see coming over from Europe for the Juvenile Fillies turf. Sounds like Royal Fixation, I've got listed at 8-1 on the early odds line. She's a possibility. She's not confirmed yet. Her connections are mulling it over. Mike, I think she'd be a contender if she came here. She's never run beyond 6 furlongs, but for the European horses, I think you don't typically have to worry about that too much.
It usually doesn't matter if they point them for one of these races instead of the sprint. It's usually a good sign for these horses. We'll see. Yeah, the Europeans, because their participation, is still up in the air. I'm sort of waiting to see which ones decide to come before I really dig in to the PPs. But just looking at Royal Fixation on paper, I don't see why she couldn't go with these horses.
And Mike, we already looked at the replay, but I just want to get your take on the winner of the Jessamine, Imagination the Lady. You could argue she got a better trip than the horse who was third, Time to Dream in there, who's got ranked as the favorite for this Juvenile Fillies turf. But take nothing away from Imagination the Lady. She's not run fast yet, but she's won both of her starts looking pretty good.
I agree. Yeah, listen, maybe a better trip for Time to Dream makes a difference there, but it's not like this horse didn't really run. She got a good trip. She got clear in the stretch. She overpowered the leaders in that race, and she was still going past the wire. Her debut was also really, really good. A trainer who's just having a great year, and Brendan Walsh. There's a lot to like about her.
Well, that is an early look at the top 10 contenders for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf. Everybody, make sure to subscribe to the Daily Racing Forum YouTube channel to not miss any of the updates and developments that we've got coming ahead of the Breeders' Cup in the next 2 weeks. And also drop us a comment down below. Let us know who you're most looking forward to seeing line up in this Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf on October 31st.